Darren, do you think it's racist to want to control our borders?
Absolutely not. No, I think any nation state around the world that doesn't do that has a problem with their electorates naturally, because electorates around the globe think it's perfectly reasonable for their elected representatives to be able to decide who can and can't come here at the wishes, at the behest of their populations. Perfectly reasonable. Ronnie Reagan once said, former president, of course, probably one of the greatest of all time, said that actually a nation state that can't control its borders or doesn't control its borders isn't a nation state. I think that rings true here. We see in the United States of America, their southern border under Joe Biden, real issues there. Right now in the United Kingdom, there are significant issues with 80,000 people predicted to actually come here illegally over small boats in our country from Calais to primarily Calais to our southern border. Now, I can remember, Jess, when The Guardian actually depicted Priti Patel as a bull, right, with a ring through her nose and horns. And of course, that's deeply offensive to someone who is a Hindu, as Priti Patel, her heritage is as a Hindu heritage. And if anyone on the right had depicted a left wing politician in such a way, you can imagine the howls from the so called progressives. But when it comes to Conservative Party politicians, they're depicted as being used, right? Black and brown faces on the front benches or even on the back benches of the Conservative Party are political patsies, Jess, right? They actually seek to deny these politicians of their agency, in my view, right? They assume, or this is what it seems like to me, they assume that these politicians are too thick to hold their own pro nation state ideas and values. And I ask the question, how is it not the very same racism that they accuse us of, those of us who actually don't want open borders? How is it not racist to say a black or brown person isn't capable of holding conservative views, that they must be used by white men, right, to actually think these things or espouse these things? And I think it goes back just to this point of, if you are gay, if you are working class, if you are black, if you are brown, you name it, the left thinks you are a product of their tribe. You must belong to them. And if you don't, well, then you must be being used, right? You must be a patsy of some sort. And that view, I think, is a deeply anti liberal one, frankly. It suggests that we're not capable of freedom of expression, we're not capable of free thought, of reaching our own conclusions about things. Debate and speech are precluded, essentially, because of the fact that we're saying, well, you know, and I get this all the time, Jess, you're being a gay man. I get told that actually I'm not a real gay. Priti Patel isn't a real Hindu. Suella Braverman isn't a real brown person in Britain, because she's not espousing left-wing ideas and beating the drum for their politics, views, and beliefs, ideologies. And there, in my view, can be nothing more racist than that idea.
Why do you think they're allowed to get away with this? You've seen the horrific abuse that Suella Braverman and Priti Patel have faced, as you discussed with The Guardian article, the depiction of her as a bull, or just generally recently, a tweet you pulled up recently was saying that their parents wouldn't be allowed in this country, and it's portraying their parents. That's often been brought around. We wouldn't allow it from the right, as you said. Why is this acceptable from the left?
Well, it's a complete and utter double standard, isn't it? There is no two ways about it. It is naked double standards, because I cannot imagine if I had photoshopped, for example, Jess, Diane Abbott, right, because she was Shadow Home Secretary at one point. If I'd photoshopped Diane Abbott into depicting her in Auschwitz, which is what they just did to Suella Braverman, photoshopped Suella Braverman into a concentration camp, and tried to suggest that these are the kinds of ideas being espoused by the Home Secretary. If I'd done that to Diane Abbott, I would have been told that I'm racist, that I'm misogynistic, you name it. Whatever Islamophobia you can think of, I'd probably have been called it. But when it's the right, you've got free license. The left gets away with it in a way in which the right can't, because there has always, frankly, been a strain of intolerance that runs through not just the British political left, but the West's political left. Anti-Semitism is a tale of as old as time. That goes way back throughout the left. Karl Marx was a swivel-eyed anti-Semite, disgusting man. And Suella Braverman's own husband, for goodness sake, right, is Jewish. I mean, can you imagine anyone on the right being able to get away with such a thing about a politician on the left if that was the case for them? It is a disgusting, rank hypocrisy, and I don't think it should be done by either side, frankly. To make jokes out of the Holocaust is never all right, is it? Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.